Hey!
Hi! Hey, welcome to another edition of Comics Cast Let It Out on March 6th, 2022. Just want to let you know that this is going to be another great episode. What is Comics Cast exactly? We are all about the independent creator. If you're a writer, penciler, inker, etc., we want you on the show, and Let It Out is that vehicle to tell the world about you. We have a tremendous guest. He's the first of, I'm going to say, a Raid Studios month. And his name is Danesh Mohiuddin. Is that correct?
No, you nailed it.
I got it. All right. He's going to be so awesome. We're going to be so thrilled to tell his story. So let's get to it. All right. Let's go.
Starting now. Hey, all right.
Man, I am still trying to get used to this new format on Restream, but I'm loving it. I think that once we get used to these controls, it'll be really cool. So anyway, want to welcome everybody to Comics Cast Let It Out, and let's just get our guest in here. So here we go. I'm going to do the drum roll. Hey, there he is. Okay. Danesh, how are you? Yeah.
I'm good. How are you?
And say hello to everybody. We're so happy to have you here.
Hello, everybody.
Okay. I just want to say that, Danesh, I'm going to hopefully not butcher your name, but because it's so unique, and I just want everybody to like and follow you because you are just a tremendous talent. In the short time that we've gotten to know you, it's just been a great ride to see you as a creative, to hear about your journey, and we're going to share that with everybody today. So, let me get some artwork up. Let's get to what we call the part of the show that's called the origin story, where we get to hear about your creative journey. These words are 100% true. We love everything about you, and we want to share this with everybody. I know so. All right, so this is the origin story. I'm going to pull up some visuals to go along with it, and let's just hear about how you got into art. So, Danesh, here you go.
Okay, so yeah, so I grew up in Dubai, and so Dubai at a time where there was not a lot going on in the city. It's not the futuristic city as you know it is today. Mm-hmm. And I love comics from the beginning. I always loved comics. I think I grew up on Asterix comics and Mad magazines, Tintin, and a lot of French comics, but also later on I got into Marvel, DC, and stuff, and I really just always loved comics. And I started like a lot of artists start. I started by copying other comics and just being fascinated and being a big fan. And then eventually, I started to draw my own comics and draw my own things. But then after high school, I instead of following my passion, I went into psychology at the University of Toronto. So I studied psychology. And, yeah, yeah. I have a degree in psychology. So
okay.
If you have any problems,
I know who to call. And I definitely got those problems. Right. Okay, keep on going. Let's hear the story. So you went from psychology.
And then psychology, and I minored in biology and English lit. And out of all of those, I really, my favorite, I think I really enjoyed was social psychology, the history of psychology, and I really enjoyed studying and analyzing literature. Mm-hmm. So then after that, I finished off and I fulfilled the dreams of my Indian parents, that was to get a degree in science.
I can relate to that. Yeah.
And now that was out of the way, I went into Sheridan. I went to Sheridan College in Oakville, which is quite a popular college for studying animation and illustration in Toronto. Mm-hmm. And I studied art fundamentals and illustration for a bit. And then I moved downtown Toronto, and I kept drawing. I joined this amazing Subway sketching group that was going on, and I kept learning and getting better at drawing. I didn't really have much work in drawing at the time. And then all of a sudden one day I got my my student loans bill in the mail, and that was like my whole like party life and like I don't know was came to an end, crashing down, and I took a flight back to Dubai to live with my parents, with my mom,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and so this was some time ago still. It's not like a year ago. It was like
It was just yesterday. It was just yesterday this
no.
happened.
And yeah, and then I moved to Dubai and I got a job at a newspaper called Gulf News,
Uh-huh.
where I did editorial illustration, where I did two regular cartoons. I did political and editorial illustrations, and I even did court sketching. I
Wow.
drew criminals
Oh, that's
in
cool.
court.
I'm
Yeah.
just kind of like wondering, is like if your court sketches look like cartoons
Oh,
or something like that.
yeah,
So that would have been.
fortunately they do. Yeah.
Oh, they do. Okay, so I'm
Oh
sure the
no,
defense.
no. Well,
the-
no.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean, my style has evolved a lot over the years.
Yeah. So-
And then after that, I met my wife, who is currently my wife, and she was working in the Spanish embassy.
Mm.
And yeah, we hit it off, and then she moved back to Spain, and then we were long distance for a bit, and then I decided to quit my job at the newspaper, and at the same time, I was getting a lot of freelance work with like the Dubai Metro. I did a big campaign with them and Sachi, and that really helped me kind of get some confidence in the fact that I could make some money freelancing. And then I moved to Spain. I moved to Madrid for for 2 or 3 years, and like I was speaking to Vic about, I learned Spanish a little bit, and I really love Spain. Like I do want to go back at some point. But we were in Spain for about 5 or 6 years, and from Madrid, I was in Madrid, Alicante, Valencia. We traveled a lot,
Gee.
and then sorry.
Oh no, I'm in awe of your world travel. So keep on going. So you've been traveling all around Spain. Yeah.
Yeah, traveling around Spain, and then I got like this opportunity for regular illustration work at a bank. Funnily enough, so the TD Bank, I was very skeptical at first as to what exactly I was going to do at a bank, and I was like, "Have you seen my work? Like, are you sure? you know, do you know, like, do you know who you're dealing with here?" So, you know. And they're like, yeah, they wanted something different. They want like, because financial stuff, content can be a bit dry sometimes.
Yes, yeah.
To put it mildly. So I have, so now I've been doing stuff for them now for 5 years. So that picture right there is
good timing.
Yeah, it's like one of my drawings about like inheritance, like the problems of inheritance, and I took like Greek mythology, the idea of Hercules and Atlas and
Atlas. Yes.
Yeah.
I totally got this. Totally.
Yeah. And then once I was in Toronto, I was able to network, and I started getting freelance work here, and I started doing shows, and I started working at Raid, which we can talk about later, and there's this amazing bunch of artists who've done this amazing work, and that kind of bolstered me and like shot me in some great directions as well. And yeah, so now I'm here. Now I'm just in Toronto, working still, doing regular illustrations for the bank, like working on graphic novels and comics and all sorts of infographics and illustrations. Here we are.
Yeah, I loved your story because, like I said, in the short time that I got to know you, I mean, we were doing our pre-show late last night, and aside from your art just being just fun, I'm just going to describe it. It's just so fun. The art, it just makes me, I mean, it brings a smile to my face when I'm looking at it. It's so fun. It's playful. But there's also another level of just like really like a deep thought. Like, humor is a very difficult thing. It's, and you talk about how, you grew up, you have an Indian background, you lived in Dubai, you were in Spain, came to, then moved to Toronto. It's like you've definitely traveled, and in the time that I've talked to you, you're also a very you like to do a lot of research. You're very learned. You read books like a ton, and it's reflective in your work. I mean, it's fun artwork, but you can just tell there's a lot of thought that goes into it. And what impressed me a lot, or so much about your art story, your journey, is that you do everything. You do not only the pencils, the inks, the coloring, but we were talking about the humor, how that can be kind of difficult to cross over cultural divides or language barriers. You're able to like inject that humor into it, that funness, and that's universal. You know, I think hearing about typical Asian parents wanting us to like become a doctor or a nurse or an engineer, it's like you kind of satisfied them and said, you know, I'll go get that degree, but you know, I'm gonna say you're like Jim Lee. You know, Jim Lee, I think, was like he got like his medical degree, and then he got
did.
that. Yeah, he got his medical degree, and he decided, you know what, I want to go try art. And luckily, his parents said, okay, we'll let you try it, because now we have Jim Lee, who's the household name Jim Lee. You know, a creative, you know, chief creative at DC. You know, founder of Wildstorm. And I'm gonna have to say that could be you. I think you're already on that path. That's so you want to talk a little bit about, like, you know, how you approach art in general, in terms of, like, you know, like the research aspect of it, and then go from there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my I like to really base my art on something like something real and observable and concrete. Like this thing on the screen right now, this fish drawing was I was sitting in a coffee shop in Toronto back some time ago, and I was just kind of taking inspiration from people around me, like real people around me, turning everyone into fish.
I never thought about this. So these are like actual like caricatures of people in the coffee shop as frish. And I noticed you spelled it frish, not just fish. So your play on words to say frish, was that, what's the meaning behind that? Was there
Oh, I just wanted to also say fresh.
Oh, I see. So, very, very cool. Like I said, it's this. I mean, it was a delightful illustration, but now that I look at it too, and you made the patrons of this coffee shop. I mean, I think maybe if I was in that coffee shop, it'd be kind of cool to say, like, oh, that's exactly me. That would be me as a frish. I just think it's so neat. And one of the other illustrations that I just totally adore is this one. This is like, and I heard you talk about how you were influenced by like Mad Magazine, and of course a lot of pop culture things, you know, like everything from Disney, you know, in this case Sesame Street. And you told us this great story behind this, because this is an actual street in Toronto. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is. Yeah, so this is an area of Toronto. It's my favorite area. Like I had a studio there for a while, and it's always been my favorite area, just because it's exactly what it looks like. Like it looks like, you know, and it's full of like all these like different characters and different like shops and like different nationalities, and it's a place that has a lot of like history. Like it has a lot of different different cultures coming and living there, starting from like the Victorian age with the British, and then there was a big Jewish migration in the 30s and 40s, and then Portuguese, and then every single person that came to that area brought something different. So this is like the culmination of, kind of represents Toronto really well, I feel, like just the mix of cultures and how we all kind of enjoy each other's cultures. We enjoy each other's foods. We enjoy how each other's clothing, how other people walk and talk. And what's great about Toronto, and you can see here, is people are able to kind of maintain that identity and, you know, be themselves in that sense. So like Elmo's like a punk, and you know, the Oscar the Grouch is in there's a lot of fruit and vegetable markets over there, and they're all in these wooden crates. So that's based on that. And there's graffiti, and like there's like waffle places and amazing French fry places, and there's like a Jamaican pasta place, like an Indian store with like incense and like all those like exotic vibe.
Yeah, I just look at this and it is because at first when I saw this, I looked at it and I was just going, oh, it's just a really cool illustration, and I just thought that that you just decided to dress up these Sesame Street characters and just really neat gear. But then when you told me that there's a personal story that goes along with this. You're just an artist of observation. Like we went from that coffee shop and doing those caricatures of the patrons as fish to this. I think when I look at this, it reminds me of the characters that you see in New York City. I'm trying to use a Yankee reference here. Like New York City, you have the what is it, the cowboy, the guitar playing cowboy who's only in his underpants on New York. You have all these, you always have the street musicians and you have all those really good street performers. But this is the that version of that in Canada, in Toronto. And you took Sesame Street characters and you dressed them up in this, and it's just so neat to see that. Because now when I go to Toronto, I think Vic and I are gonna have to plan a trip to go up there. We're gonna be looking for these characters.
I'm gonna take this drawing with me and try to find these people.
Yeah.
I have them sign it. This is you. Look at.
Yeah, exactly.
You're the bearded. You're the bearded.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
There's a shop or two in there that have bought the print, so they might have it in one of the restaurants.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're gonna have to. It'll be one of those tours that we're gonna have to go on, and just I'm gonna look for Kensington Market, and we'll have you along with us. You can point out these things, and
for sure. I'd love.
It is just so neat to see the slice of life that you're able to take and capture it in just a really fun way. This is so just unique, and it's I hear that you work for a bank, or you're working for a bank, but you're still doing a lot of freelance opportunities. And I just look at some of the stuff. It's because I look at this isometric design. We were talking about this yesterday, and that's that kind of that 3/4 bird's eye view of and it's used for a lot of infographics. And there's this one, and then there's this one. I usually see it in a very I want to say it's it's very digital. It's when I usually see that kind of art, everything is really precise. The lines are so exact and things like that. But then this is uniquely you. You have it's an organic feel. And it has that cartoon style, but you're putting it into this. And you said you do a lot of work with Scholastic as well. Here we go. We get
funnily
enough.
Uh-huh. Sorry, funnily enough.
Yeah.
Isometric grids actually help me to be more free.
Really?
When I'm working. Yeah, because when it's almost like there's a structure that it provides that I don't have to think about. I just know that things have to fall within this grid, and that's really freeing, because then I don't have to. Then I can focus more on having fun with it.
Interesting.
That's how I see it, because it's just because perspective can be tough, and structure and perspective is such a big part of drawing and thinking about that. But when I'm doing this, I know that as long as I can do anything I want, as long as I stay within my grid, it'll look fine. It'll come together.
Yeah. I mean, I zoom into this, and I just see all these little fun things that you've added into it. And, I don't know if this was direction that was given by Scholastic, but, you have this little, you have a little floating tin can here, a little box, but then you have on the other side, you have Happy Fish, and then these people that are playing in the water, and you have this bear, and it's telling this illustration about how it's the water cycle, and I even like how you have this here in the corner here about you have this person that's drinking here, and then of course you have the toilet. So it's just talking about how everything gets recycled and how it's just a really fun way. I think this is a great educational tool, but it's fun. You just found a great way to do that. And you said you do a lot of work with Scholastic. Is that correct? Are they one of your?
I do. Yeah.
And how did that come about? Because Scholastic is big.
Sorry,
Oh,
go
but
ahead.
Oh, I was saying, how did that come about? You working with them? Did they reach out
I
to you, or?
Oh, that's so funny. Like, so I did when I did the Dubai Metro project, was an advertising gig in Dubai. I that was I did a lot of work, and that was everything on a grid. And that even
Mhm.
goes back to my like I did technical illustration in Sheridan, so we did a lot of grid stuff. I learned, you know, how to work on a grid properly, and so that led to like that job. And
Mhm.
then I was looking when I went freelance and I left my job in Dubai. I was looking for an agent, an illustration agent, and I found this one. The one that responded to me was in Australia, right?
Australia.
Yeah.
You are
So
by far the most international artist that I know in terms of like your
so
your
so
your
listen.
clients. Yeah.
I was
Uh-huh.
living in Spain, and I had an agent in Australia who got me
Uh-huh.
a job for a New York Scholastic project.
That I mean, okay, that's another example of what I'm talking about in terms of your artwork being able to transcend boundaries, geographic boundaries. You could be in any part of the world working with another part of the world with another client that's in another part of the world, and it all makes sense. Everybody can look at the artwork and just instantly get it. I think everybody there's that joke of, or not really a joke. There's that fact that they say that math is the universal language, and I'm not going to say. I'm going to say, yeah, it is a universal language, but I think art is also a universal language. You can take the word bubbles out of it. You can take any type of narrative that's written in words, but if you see a picture, um, they say picture is 1,000 words right there, and it can really explain things to somebody that's in Dubai, to somebody that's in Toronto, somebody that's in Toronto, that's to somebody that's in Spain. So it's just, yeah, you found a definite, niche in terms of being able to have an art that can go all over the world. And
Mhm.
I went for my favorite, which was the Sesame Street one. And last night when we were looking at this and doing the pre-show, I think this one is near and dear to Vic. And let's just show this right here.
Yes, yes, that's
so,
my favorite.
so here we have a corgi who's a unicorn who is, what is this
Pooping a
rainbow
rainbow.
thing?
Yeah.
That's going behind him. It's so fun. Now you want to talk about this one because there's a really neat story about this particular piece.
So this one was I was hired to do illustrate a card game,
Mm-hmm.
about 20 or 30 different cards, and I did and I did like it was really fun because they were just fun ideas, and like they liked my humor and they wanted me to just go wild with the
Uh-huh.
ideas. They had some basic kind of things. They wanted a dog, and they wanted this, but they let me kind of go free with the humor. So
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun, and I did the
Uh-huh.
whole project. Um,
What was the name of the project
it's
again?
called What the Wolf.
What the Woof. So,
Yeah, What the Wolf. Yeah,
and
you can probably
yeah,
Google that and find that somewhere.
yeah, that
And
is. It explains your sense of humor too. It's like you did this illustration, and I think this was one of 36. You said illustrations that you did, or
perhaps about 36. Yeah, maybe it
36.
was 36. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So
So
I encourage you. This is I think Vic said he saw this game at his
A
Target.
Target. Yeah, we seen that at Target.
Yeah.
oh, you saw
We
it?
were
That's
looking at it, and I
amazing.
was
Yeah.
like, yeah, we were looking at it. And I was like, oh man, look at this. What is this?
But
And I think on the back of the box it showed your art. I know you had said the cover wasn't yours, but I think on the back of the
no, I
box
didn't
it
do
had.
after doing the whole set, I didn't do the cover. So,
Oh, that's such a shame. But yeah, we were joking around. It's like I was using the scenario. It's like, yeah, in the comic world, we sometimes will buy a comic because we think the cover was done by the artist who did the interior, and then we're disappointed when we go, oh,
mhm.
it's not the same person. But then when we think about this game, it's like, oh, this game is kind of neat, and the illustration on the cover, yeah, it's kind of fun, whatever. And then you open up the box when you buy it, it's like, oh my gosh, this game is so much better because we see a different artist, and that artist is you, on the inside. And it's just one of those things, I guess, you kind of learn as one of your your experiences as an artist doing this type of
Yeah,
things.
it was more about negotiation. Like, I think it was I wanted to do it, but we couldn't agree on the terms of it, and we were short on time, and it didn't work out. So they ended up hiring someone else to do the cover.
Yeah.
But looking back, I would have pushed a little more in my negotiation to try and like make it happen. So
Oh, there was a bright side to it because you said that on the Kickstarter campaign that it actually there was like a special tier where you could actually get a version of the game featuring your artwork, right? So
yes, then I
I
did
guess
that later on. Yeah.
yeah, so it worked out in the end. But I encourage people to look for What the Woof, and that's a good transition because that wasn't your particular. I mean, you were a featured artist on this Kickstarter, but that wasn't your baby. That wasn't your campaign. And now let's
Mhm.
talk about what is your baby, what is your campaign, which is currently going on right now.
Sure.
And that is the Timeless campaign, which is a poster that features over 300 plus pop icons. And here we go. I wanted to show this. This is going on right now. It was successfully funded in, what was it, 24 hours? Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was great.
Tremendous feeling. I mean, I guess you probably didn't know. It's like I didn't know I had that many fans that could just instantly fund me that quickly. I have the campaign up here. We're gonna go back to it a little later on, but it was I think the goal was 2,356, which is a very peculiar number. But you're already double that. You're at over 5,000. 70 backers, 11 days to go, and it features this kind of artwork. So it's a timeline. You want to talk a little bit about, just give a brief overview of what Timeless Characters this poster print is about?
Yeah, I mean, just what the poster is basically it's a timeline of famous fictional characters, starting from Frankenstein, and it goes all the way up to the Mandalorian, and it includes, the general dates, and also it's also the way the characters appear. Mostly, 99% of the time, is the how they looked when they first appeared. Like
Yeah.
like Winnie the Pooh didn't have a shirt, and like Mickey Mouse looks like that, and Captain
Mhm.
America's first costume. So it's the origin of fictional characters over the last 200 years, pretty much. I think it covers 200 years, and also included our political events and scientific and technological events over
Yeah.
time. And it wasn't meant to originally have political events, but as I did the timeline, as I did the spreadsheet, I'm also a big fan of spreadsheets. I can do like,
you have I don't know what art you interested in and how you're able to incorporate that into your art of your left brain and right brain. It's just
a little
amazing.
bit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really fond of spreadsheets. Similar to why I love isometric, because it just provides me a structure in which I can put things in order and like
Mhm.
not think about those things. But basically, I made a spreadsheet of all these characters.
Mhm.
Now I chose the characters based on like how popular they were and how um, how often they are being repeated in media. You know,
Mhm.
like we're continuing to make movies about them, or we're continuing to make books about them, or video games, or merchandise, or whatever it is. And what I was curious about is like I was curious about why, right?
Yeah.
Like why are these characters so famous, and why are we so obsessed with Spider-Man and Hello Kitty or Mortal Kombat or Venom, and like
Uh-huh.
why are these characters appealing?
Uh-huh.
Like we just I don't know if we kind of maybe subconsciously like them, but that was my question really. That's also my university background, where I want to know like
The
the
psychology, right?
insights of
The
huh
psychology of the
the,
art, right?
the psychology of it, yeah. and then
Yeah.
and then I started putting in like these world events, like political events and science
Mhm.
events, and I started to see patterns. um So I don't know if there is if you see, well, good example is if you go back to like there's one with the Fantastic Four or the 60s. I don't know if you
Let's see.
Maybe after. Okay, going forward after this one, and after this
To the
one,
side, yeah.
Maybe I should go to
maybe.
the. Should I go to the poster and zoom in here? Maybe it might be a little
It's like
pixelated, but
right in the middle.
Yeah.
There they are.
So
yeah, here it
so
is.
yeah.
Here it is.
For example, there is a strong tendency in the 60s for everything to be about, first of all, every time there's a war or political tension, superheroes are doing well commercially, right? In the
Mm.
Second World War, in like the Cold War,
Mm-hmm.
and then also if you look at, for example, my best example is the Fantastic Four,
Right.
which is a very good reflection of the time because the Soviets had first sent man to space,
Uh,
and there was a fear of radiation because of
yes.
Hiroshima
Yes.
and the Cold War, and there's a fear of like a nuclear disaster and what can radiation do to you, and
Mm-hmm.
people were actually like similar to right now. It's strange how where these
Yeah.
wars happen,
Mm-hmm.
but back then as well there was has a real fear of radiation.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the idea of the Fantastic Four is that they are a combination of those three ideas of space, of war, and the fear of radiation because they're about a family that goes to space, gets exposed to radiation, and become these super soldiers,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they all
I
fit into that time.
Yeah, and it's interesting because if you look at this, and on the surface, yeah, it's really fun. But I look at this as it's educational. When we we're in school and we see like these infographics, they tend to be a little dry. They're not very fun. And you see this, and you're able to blend history, and you have these historical events, and you also against the backdrop of these characters, these comic book characters. And I think that's brilliant because you mentioned the thing about war. If you look at those time periods, um, I think one of the things that you could also observe by looking at this is that these rise of heroes during these times of conflict, it's kind of like a commentary on the need for escapism. You know, you have these really traumatic events that are happening, but what do? We try and find comfort in art. It's like
Yes.
and I think that's a brilliant observation that you made during your research, is that we can during these times of conflict we can find heroes in comic books and escape from these really tragic events. And I don't know, is that something that you came to a conclusion as well, right?
Yeah. And also, I also noticed like somehow, like for example, the idea of radiation. If you look at the 60s, especially Marvel,
uh,
like a lot of stuff is like a lot of characters were created as a result of radiation. Now,
mm,
radiation was something that is not, it's a scary thing, right?
yes.
The, you know, so then I find that's really creative that they were able to take something that people in society were afraid of and turn it into something positive that
Right.
gives you superpowers,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think that's also very interesting. Like, also you have to think what are things that people fear at the time, and maybe it's like fiction is and characters. Fiction is a way of us of just the way humor is. It's a way of dealing with reality,
Yeah.
right? Of
Uh-huh.
coping with a scary reality or coping with strange times. And I
Uh-huh.
think this poster also shows the human imagination, like how people come up with these ideas as a way of coping with their specific times, and how we, and the creativity comes in and how you use these times to make something in a way, in an interesting and original way.
Yeah.
And
Wait.
that's why I think these characters. That's why I made this poster because that was my conclusion: is that these characters are two things. One, they are still with us because they represent something real in history,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they came out, whatever they came out, they came out from that time, like they extracted from that time, and we want to remember that because that's human history. And also, there's something universal about that, those fears or ideas that we're able to, do again and again. For example, Iron Man, the original one was in a cave in Vietnam, I believe, during the Cold War,
Mm-hmm.
during the after the Cuban Missile Crisis, and then the movie was based in a cave in Afghanistan.
Yeah. it's basically setting up a story that's relevant to the time period that you're in right now. So I thought that was great for Marvel to kind of like adjust that story because it's relevant to current events.
Yeah. And throughout the poster, like, and I encourage people to look at the poster and think about the characters and why, not just that, you know, you recognize them and they're popular, but why are they famous, and why did they how did the time how were they created in those times, right?
Yeah, it's a reflection. It's almost like it's a cultural reflection of the time period, and I just I like I said, it's a very educational thing. You know, I was looking at 1975, which is a near and dear year to me here, but you also have because you have the oil crisis here, and it's just neat to see. You know, you have the Vietnam War, the Iranian Revolution. Yeah, it's fun. That's all I gotta say. Here, even from a historical, a fun standpoint, with all these comic characters, these pop cultural icons, you're able to weave history into it, and it's an educational process. But I think that if kids were able to see this, it's like they could relate a particular character to a moment in time, and thereby just learn it. It becomes it's an effective learning tool because they're affected, you know, by your artwork. I don't know. I think that was the correct way of using effect versus affect, but it's just really, really fun. But yeah, I think this is a good opportunity to jump into our first live drawing challenge, which is going to be about this particular project, which is the Timeless Poster Project. And yesterday we were talking about how we could delve and talk more about this particular project while we're drawing it, and it was going to be a little bit of a surprise because I wanted you to think about it and determine what character out of these 300 plus that we could draw. So how about you reveal that to us and let us know what you think? What would you like us to tackle today?
I'm going to reveal it to you and myself right now.
Oh, you are. Nothing like surprising us both there. So let's go with that. So what are we going to live draw today?
I think this is to Spider-Man, I guess.
Oh, okay. I think Vic will not have any objection to that. He's both of us are very fond of the wall crawler, and I think that'll be really good because I would love to hear why you picked that character. I can kind of guess why. Maybe there was a little movie that came out at the end of last year that's still like, you know, doing incredibly well into this year. But I think the Spider-Man has definitely made an impact on a lot of people. You know, whether you're an artist or just, you know, anybody. He's become a bit of an icon in everybody's like creative development, and you know, we just can just really relate to his story. I'm looking forward to hearing why you picked Spider-Man. So let's go ahead and start or get ready to start the clock. Let me get my art cam. Let's get the art cams ready.
I think I just the fantasy, being a kid, and just the fantasy, the freedom of maneuvering through the city like that, right?
Yeah.
It's literally
one moment. Let's get your art cam up real quick, and then I want to hear your story. Let's see. And Vic, oh, you got it? Okay. So what we're gonna do is, and we've been trying. This is kind of like our kind of our trend. While you're talking, we're just gonna probably solo your camera out, so that way we can see them. I want our audience to see the magic happen while you're talking about it. And we're gonna go with, I think, 15 minutes to do this. And just to give our audience some context, because I would love for you guys to draw along with us. You do your version of Spider-Man. I think that's one of the things that we're learning from talking to Danesh is that, you know, he's able to inject his personality, his experiences into all of his creations. They look uniquely his, and I would love for everybody to do their own interpretation of Spider-Man. And so you don't really need to see any visual references of the style, because I wanted to do it in your style, but it's more about listening to, you know, the creative impulses or inspiration that Danesh, you know, comes together when he draws. and then share it to the art show. Let us know in the comments, and we'll share it with him, and we'll get some cool feedback. So that being said, let's start the clock. And Danesh, just let's talk about Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, just like we were saying, just the idea of, I think the idea of the freedom of swinging through the city like that
Mm-hmm.
and climbing on walls, like there was, I think that's a great kind of fantasy that kids have, I guess, and that's what I think I liked, and I think Spider-Man was one of my first. Um, I think Spider-Man was one of my first comics that I ever read. So
Mm-hmm.
that's also start again. It
Yeah,
was
you were talking.
What did you
Oh yeah, go ahead, Vic.
what did you think of the last movie? Jiro brought it up.
which one? Which was the last Spider-Man
The
movie?
No Way Home.
Was that the one with Mysterio?
Oh no, that
No
was.
Way Home was the last one. The one with spoiler alert, but with all the Spider-Man in it.
Yeah, they basically doubled down on the whole multiverse, and they were able to bring uh, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and they put him in. They put them all in the same universe with Tom Holland. Were you able to catch that Spider-Man movie?
Oh no, I haven't seen that at all. I didn't know anything.
Oh no! Did
Oh,
we just spoiled it?
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm not
Um,
I'm not a big movie watcher. Like I
uh,
was this time, but I'm just I'll definitely check it out. Is it on? I guess is it just on the cinema? Or is it also in like Netflix or?
no,
uh,
it'll be coming out. I think on on demand, like at the end of this month, I believe.
Yeah, I think it'll be on Disney Plus shortly, and then of course, I heard the Blu-ray release
No,
was announced.
never. It won't be on Disney Plus at
Oh,
all.
oh, it won't be.
It's Sony property.
Oh, oh, I thought it was. Oh, so Sony. Well, it's a joint property, isn't it, with Sony
Yeah,
and
but no
Disney?
Spider-Mans are on Disney.
Ah, okay. Well,
I think you
maybe.
can catch it
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
You'll be able to
So
catch it somewhere. It's going to be
right,
everywhere.
exactly, exactly. But I like
Yeah.
how we were talking about his origin, or we were talking about origins of like the Fantastic Four, um, and them being exposed to like radiation. Spider-Man, very similar too. It's like he was bitten by a radioactive spider, and
Hmm.
and then his story. I never even thought about that. These all these characters during that time period having some sort of radioactive story element, added to it. And now it's like now that I've looked at this infographic, it's made me just more aware of it now. I'm probably gonna have to like look at characters now that are created and see what the historical implications of their creation in terms of the time period. Um, so just
Yeah,
really neat.
for sure. And also like it gives you an idea of what it takes, the kind of awareness and creativity it takes to create something. Like if you're a creator yourself and you would like to like create your own character,
Mm-hmm.
like think about your time. Like what is the kind of time we're living in right now? What are people scared of? What are our fears? What is this human psyche like? And and I think it's not just it's just because there's a I don't know, there's a war in Ukraine, so we have to do something on Ukraine. I think it's more like looking deeper into like current events and what they mean to us and you know why they bother us, and from that thing of because that's kind of like that's what culture is like something like things that we have in common and that we
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
we think about. So and it's also like it's a great like there's so many things, right? Like right now I think now is a great time for there's so many things happening. It's a good time for creativity, right? If you can sit down and really think about it. Like we just got off this crazy pandemic, you know and just as we got off this pandemic, there's like this you know potentially devastating war
Uh-huh.
happening in Europe. So and
Yeah, I think that's another thing is that um, man is capable of such, just horrible things. But then when you juxtapose that against things that we're also capable of really beautiful things, and that's the art side of it too. I think through your your studies here, I just never correlated that as profoundly as seeing it in this timeless poster project that you put together. Um, it's just a really neat observation that I don't think that people will know. And now when they see your poster, they can definitely appreciate that. Did you think that that would have that kind of, you think that would have that kind of impact, and that a lot of people would just want to participate and get this particular project that you put together because now they see what the results of your research?
Yeah, I didn't. One thing that about is like when I so this poster is something that I've actually been doing for the last 9 years.
9 years? Oh, this has been a 9-year project.
Yeah, so originally I did it. This is the third and final version of it, or fourth. No, I think the third version. So I originally did it like to, because I wanted to do something like educational, like an infographic, right?
Right.
And I was like, I wanted that angle. Like I didn't want to just, I was doing the Fan Expo or the Comic Con convention in Dubai, and I wanted to do something, but I didn't want to be just like, oh, I'm just gonna go and I'm just gonna draw my version of the character and I'm gonna sell it if people like my style, because I felt like I didn't feel I wasn't into that kind of thing. So I wanted something more. I said, oh, maybe I can do some infographics. So my first idea was originally to do take famous characters and do like a world map and do a world map with different famous characters on it. But then I didn't do that because there's just too many characters where like it didn't, it wasn't interesting enough in terms of what I found. So I always me and my wife we were living in Valencia and Spain at the time. So we always do go for like running, and I found like running or walking, I get good ideas a lot of times. Running or walking.
Most people get that in the shower. You get it while you're running. So.
Oh, you know what? I get it a lot of times in the shower after.
Oh, you do? Okay, so
yeah.
there's the secret. You got to go run and then take a shower, and then you're gonna have epiphanies and come up with these timeless poster projects. All right, so keep on going. I'd like to hear the story here.
Yeah, and then she actually came up with the idea of doing a timeline of these characters.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then that's how it ended up doing it, and then I did it, and I did the whole thing like traditionally. I put this big piece of paper on the wall, and I just inked it straight. And now, then when that was 2013, I believe, when I first did it, and it ended in 2013, and then I sold it at the convention and it did well. And I was surprised. One thing that I enjoyed about it was that there was a lot of intergenerational interest. So like fathers and sons, or grandfathers and grandkids, and like they would look at it together, right?
Yeah.
And it was like a way of bonding for them to like look at the poster. Like obviously, like the first, like it has different layers, right? The first layer is just like, oh, I recognize this character and that character, and then then you realize, oh, they're in order of time, and then you realize, oh, this is how they first looked when they came out, and then you realize, like it's there's something that what we talked about, like they're related to like history or something more to it about how they were created. So that's what I like about it. Like you can enjoy it at different levels. You don't have to be into the history and stuff. You can just purely enjoy it just because you like all these characters, and But really, it's meant to be an infographic. Yeah, it's meant to be an infographic about these things. And what I did is when I first did it, I told people I'm probably going to update it because they'll probably be every 3 years. So, and I told people like, okay, you can buy one now, and if I do a next version, then I'll give it to you on discount, right? So you can update your poster.
That is genius. maybe you can make it so that it's like you can do an add-on extension, where you can keep on getting longer and longer and longer. I just think that's just built in like marketing genius. Every 3 years you got to get the newest version.
No, but
But
now actually I've kind of run out of space, right?
yeah, it's going to be eventually too long there. So
And I ran out of space, and I also felt like it's enough, and that like it's a good time, like the end of the pandemic, and like the feel like it's good. Like I can't keep going on forever, and I can't put in my format and the paper and printing. That's
yeah, right. I can see that too. I can definitely see that too. But
yeah.
I and you talked about something too, which I think is really neat, because we actually had a discussion about this, about traditional versus digital. And are you strictly traditional, or do you do digital as well, or what are your thoughts on? Could you do? Because I know you said you did this traditional, but do you see where do you see digital in your particular career?
Most of my time, so I ink, I do everything traditionally, but recently I've been doing like a hybrid where I'll do like a quick so for example, instead of doing this, normally actually I'm doing like a big Spider-Man thing, but what I would normally do is like I would do like I do like really small like
Oh, the thumbnails.
Like thumbnails?
yeah,
Or
like
something gestural? Yep.
yeah, like super fast. I'd be like, oh, this one, and then no, I wouldn't think about it much because it's just a small size. It's already better than what I was drawing before, right? Because like they're already better shapes and already better things. So I would be like, oh, then I'll do like a few different versions. Like, oh, maybe I'll try one more, and then just I just love gestures and quick kind of.
Look at that, Vic. He's so quick with coming up with these gestures.
Yeah,
And they're so.
And then be like, oh, then I'd be like, okay, which one do I like over here? So then I'll choose, say I like this one over here. Then I'd just be like, okay, let me go with this one. Then I'll like that one. Then I'll scan it, and I'll either go two ways. I'll either like make it really light, print it out, and like draw on it again in more detail, like tighten it up, and then I'll ink it. Or at other times, I'll even just like ink it like digitally on like Procreate, because there's something about my hand moving like this and my hand like just moving on paper, and there's something about the process that I haven't been able to recreate on digitally. Yeah. I don't mind inking digitally, and I don't mind like getting things right and the details and structuring and coloring, but like the original kind of like the spirit of it for me a lot of times is in these kind of small sketches.
Yeah,
I totally. I've noticed that. I've noticed that as well. You can't get that fluidity with the thumbnails like on digitally. Like I'll zoom out to get a smaller screen, just to like kind of get that same feel, but it's really not there. Like doing thumbnails just feels the flow of it feels better doing it traditionally.
Totally. And even though Procreate, there's a great thing about Procreate is that you can draw with the side of the pencil, which was fascinating to me, coming from like I thought that was the biggest innovation of the Apple Pencil over the what's it called, the Cintiq, is that you can draw with the side of the pencil, and I was like, wow, that was mind blowing. It's closer, but still, I think also when I went to Sheridan and I learned life drawing, this is how I learned to draw. Right?
Yes.
I've noticed that. I noticed the way you hold your pencil. It's more the way when painters are like sketching out their ideas. In the beginning, like I know, the the master Drew Struzan, he holds his pencils similar to you. Like, is that something you picked up when you were studying over there?
Yeah, in Sheridan, like when we would draw with Conte and and you know what I have a theory about it is like it helps when you're so you like either you draw with your shoulder or you draw with your elbow or you draw with your wrist or you
Mm-hmm.
get
Mm-hmm.
with your with your fingers. And I think the more toward the end you're getting and the more precise you're getting, the closer to your wrist you get and closer to your fingers because things get smaller. Like it's just the range of
Mm-hmm.
movement. Your shoulder has a big range, like then your elbow gets a bit more restricted and your wrist even smaller and so on. And then I feel like when I draw, I feel like the first movement or the initial composition comes through much more fluidly, like bigger lines and bigger movements come through better with the shoulder. And when I hold the pencil like this, I feel like the shoulder really gets involved. Like I'm not moving anything but my shoulder right now. So
Yeah.
That is a great tip there too. It's sort of like because I don't think we actually really talk too much about just technique and how
No, we don't.
and to hear it from you mentioned Drew Struzan and I guess I don't know if I pronounced that correctly or not, but seeing Danesh doing it too, it's like I think I don't know if you could you hold your Apple Pencil like that and do like gestural sketches? I guess you could, but
you can,
it's
you can.
uh-huh.
Yeah. It's as close as you can get digitally to doing it. And it's not
Yeah.
bad, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I figure it's like comparing it to like if you're sword fighting versus like uh, or
Uh,
throwing darts.
uh-huh.
So when you're sword fighting, you're using more your bigger movements in your shoulder, and you're doing big swipes. So
Uh-huh.
you're using
Yeah.
so you hold the sword like this, right? When you're fencing or sword fighting. But
Uh-huh.
when you're doing darts, it's like you're like trying to like
Yeah.
get onto pinpoints, like get very accurate and get to a very specific point, and it's very technical, and it's less
Mm-hmm.
movement. It's just about so that's I feel like when I'm drawing smaller details or when I'm writing, I I do it like this. I can't like when I'm like this, I feel restricted. I can't draw gestures like this. I just
Right.
it's just there's something about the muscles or your hand or the bones that the freedom that comes from drawing like that.
It's
All right,
funny that
gentlemen, time
uh,
is up. Pencils
what?
down, pencils
Cool.
down.
It's
Yeah, that went by
up
quick.
already?
We
Yeah,
were
I was
we were
listening
getting
to
schooled, so we were just listening.
okay. I'm gonna let Danish, I guess if you want to I saw all your gestures just now, but I guess the page
Yeah,
before this, you already did a sketch already, right? Look at this.
I did
Oh, shoot.
I did a sketch. I did a sketch, but I wasn't too fond of it. And then it's too. You know
Uh-huh.
what I realized is like I wasn't warmed up, and then I started. So I did this, and I was like, it's okay.
Uh-huh.
But then I started doing these, and I got much more like what I
Looser, right?
wanted out of it. Like especially
Uh-huh.
this one, I would probably take this one here, where I just like the shape and the kind of curves
Yeah.
on it
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
I think that's a
the
good
chunkiness.
Yeah, I think this is a good lesson to people that are watching here. Oh, here we got some comments here. So Danish characters remind me of New York's. Oh,
Was
I got
the
dropped.
New York City? What was that?
Whack,
Can we?
Can you bring
whack
that one back
crack.
up? What was that?
Can we pull up that comment one more time? Let's see.
Let's see. Danish's characters remind me of the New York City crack is whack characters. I'm not
Crack is
familiar
whack.
with those.
I am not
Whack
either,
is
but
whack.
I'm gonna have to look that up and see what that is. So,
Yeah.
all right. So, did we get anybody that drew along in the
I'm checking that
Okay.
right now.
While you're doing that, I just want everybody to check out these gestural thumbnails that Danish did here, and it's just so neat to see this because this is like how you I guess warm up, and then when you're doing it, you could just see the evolution in terms of like coming up with these really neat concepts, and you can just do them on a really small scale, and once you find the one that you like, you have much more focus, and it'll allow you to become to nail those illustrations better when you have like kind of like a blueprint to follow. Okay, so it says in the 80s it was graffiti with a message. Ah, crack is black. Okay,
Okay.
I'll have to
cool.
check that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess Vic, if we're still, did anybody draw along with us or
No,
not?
nobody. We haven't gotten anything. But if you guys did,
Okay.
let us know in the comments, and then
Yes.
we'll bring it up later.
Yeah, let's check out
Is your cam not up, Joe?
Oh, okay. Let me get mine up. Go ahead and show
Why don't
yours.
you bring? I'll show mine while
Yes.
we bring yours up. There's mine. Let's see.
Oh yeah, I'd love
mine.
to see.
Real quick.
Oh, look at that!
Oh wow,
Just
super cool.
yeah.
I would
Spider-Man.
have had time.
Yeah, Spider-Man definitely is an influence on a lot of us in terms of creative, inspiration. Oh, actually, mine just came up really quick too.
Well, they're just,
I ran out of space. I think I should have used a bigger sheet of paper. It's almost like he's cramped, like he's just trying to fit in on the piece of paper. But yeah,
paper,
but anyway, it was kind of fun to do that. Yeah, and I think if I had a little bit more time, maybe I could make it a little bit stronger visually. But I looked at like what Danesh did with his thumbnails, and it's almost like I want to go back and take one of his poses and flesh it out because they were just so nice to see, like just all these different poses that you were able to come up with in such a short amount of time.
Yeah. Great thing is you don't commit to any of them. You're just like, okay, just do a whole bunch and like, okay, I like this one. You didn't spend too much time on them, right?
Yeah, you're so right. And let's see if I can get. Oops. Let's go back to here. Yeah. So fun character. You could see that he's definitely Spider-Man has influenced Danesh and Vic and myself. And I think it's just really neat to see that we have that shared inspiration from such an iconic character. So let's move to the second drawing challenge, which is affectionately known as the co-host challenge. And this is something that it's a surprise to me. It's going to be a surprise to everybody except for the co-host because Vic is the mastermind behind this. So Vic, what are we doing today?
We were going back to an old favorite. We were going back to Draw the Line. Because Danesh his style is so cool. I wanted to just give him something like to see what he could come up with just from the little sketch we come up with. So here's the line. I'm going to show it to everybody right now.
Let's see.
This is the line everybody has to use. So you have to use this, copy this line down.
All right,
and then from this, you're going to create something, whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Spin it around. Do whatever you want to do with it. Just create something. Use that creativity. I want to see what everybody comes up with.
Okay, if you're doing it digitally, let's do a screen capture of it right now. Is this posted to the art show?
No, it isn't. We
we
did this right now.
Okay, yeah. So just do a screen capture.
I figure a simple line. You could just copy.
Yeah,
you could copy.
Yeah, just copy it. And I'm doing that really quick right now, and I am so curious to see what Danesh does with this. It's going to be neat to see. All right, so I got it. And let's say so right now it's at 2. Let's say it's 2:05 right now. So let's do.
Here, I'll start the clock right now. So we
Okay.
don't have to.
All right.
So starting now.
Okay, let's.
Sonic. Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
All right, Danesh. I'm gonna I'm gonna solo you out, and actually let's go like this.
Let's see.
Oops, how do we do this? Can we get him his thing
Oh,
soloed out here?
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Okay. All right. Okay. So we were talking. You kind of reverse did it, Danesh, a little. On the last challenge, you were talking about warm-ups, the importance of kind of like doing thumbnails and warm-ups. Do you do that with all of your, before you get into something, do you always do a warm-up to like?
Yeah, I like to, for sure. I think all the drawings I'm fond of were really small first. So I don't know if I warm up like, I don't know if I warm up like just, like I warm up in terms of, oh, this is the thing that I want to draw, so I want to figure out what is a good, And this one thing I learned as well when coming up with concepts is like, don't be happy with like your first idea, even if you feel happy,
Right.
Don't
Uh,
trust your feelings of like, oh, I think I'm great, I'm a genius, and this is so great. Like, and sometimes you think like that, right? Sometimes you're like, oh, I can't believe I came up with this so fast, and like sometimes
uh-huh.
those are the worst ideas. Um,
Uh-huh.
so I really feel like I'll be like, okay, I was gonna come up with three different ideas or three different thumbnails, and then I can choose one, and then I'll be like, I'll have a discipline about it. I'm like, okay, I got to do at least five. So I'll do it first. I'm like, oh, this is so good. Then I'll do the second. I'm like, oh, this is even better. So you kind of push what you think is possible, right?
I get it. Yeah. And
Um,
it that sounds it's a great formula because you unless you're used to hitting home runs every time you do your first illustration, you don't know what you're. It's like maybe as you're doing more variations and as you're warming up, uh, you're
yeah,
unlocking possibilities versus whatever you first thought of. Right? I mean,
yes, like you're pushing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're pushing yourself, and also you have to be careful because if that's the first thing you thought of,
Uh-huh.
it's very possible that many people would have thought of that as the first thing,
Ah.
Hmm.
So
and
it's like
it's
it's not as
yeah,
original. It almost feels like it's cliche, right? And
yeah.
um,
It's like um, yeah, it's almost like too obvious, right?
right.
And, and if it's too obvious, then what is there of interest to other people who can think that exact same thing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, um, so yeah, that's why I think that you have to kind of push it and see, and maybe you still go with your first drawing, but there's some aspect of that fourth drawing that you apply that makes it more original, or some aspect of that fifth drawing that you like, and then you can kind of um, go with that. So it's just uh, it's just a matter of um,
Ex-
pushing what you think is possible.
mm-hmm. And exploring. Uh,
Hmm.
sometimes it's like you said the your first impulse or your first creation is sort of like the obvious because that's what comes to your mind. But it's that creative process and learning from you. It's like or hearing your story. It's like you have to almost like research it. You're doing those thumbnails and those warm ups because you're researching, right? You're coming up with those different ideas that aren't immediately obvious until you actually dig deeper.
Yeah, and that's the key word, right? Like not immediately obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that's very important to keep on doing that, even as you get more experience as an artist. Like I don't think there comes to a point where like you become such a good artist so that anything you come up with first time is going to be amazing. It may be better, but I think you, I think you're kind of pushing it.
uh-huh.
Well, but everyone is different. I have to say that as well. That's just me.
Uh-huh.
Um, Maybe other people work it out in their mind. Maybe in their mind they go through all these things, and their thumbnail process is mental.
Yeah,
You
oh,
know,
different. Mm-hmm.
so mine has to be physical. Like mine, I have to draw it and see it and know whether this is um, like this is gonna work or not. Um, so to each his own, obviously. So
Right.
um, what about you guys when you're coming up with an idea? Like what is your process like? What do you um,
I like to draw things over and over several times, and then like because I mess up, and then I'm just
that's
like, forget
cool.
it. I'll draw something else. No, no,
Yeah.
I do some. I do something similar to you. Like, I like to
Uh,
use a lot of thumbnails. Like, I'll have an idea, but I already know from years of experience that maybe my first idea isn't the best one. So
Hmm.
like my artwork used to be very stiff. Like everything was very stiff, very straightforward, and
Hmm.
doing more thumbnails helped me like open up a little bit more, find different angles, find you know things that work a little bit better for me,
Hmm.
as opposed to just like jumping right in and and you know drawing right away.
I find that
Um,
I definitely need to be like you guys and and warm up sometimes. And I think that's the reason why a lot of my artwork ends up in the circular file. It ends up in the trash can because I just get frustrated. And I think if I did more of the warm ups like you all, it's like you made that comment, Danish, about you don't have to be 100% committed to it. It's like you do those small gestural things, and you don't feel like, oh, I wasted all this time, and just get frustrated because you're not getting the results that you want.
Yeah, exactly. It's like speed dating.
Speed dating. I never even thought of it that way.
Yeah, instead of like just getting married to like the first idea.
Getting married to the first idea.
They're like, okay, wait, let me. I don't know if it's the best.
Yeah, let me do some warm ups.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's the
I get you. I understand what you were going for.
No, but like those speed dating where you're like, you have like 30 seconds to speak to a person, then you move to the next and next and next.
Yeah.
Like that, those kind of events.
It gives you an opportunity to work on your pickup line, right? If you don't, the first, So like, if the first 5 pickup lines were utter failures, for me, it's, then you can, like, by the time you get to the 6th one, it's like, maybe I should switch up my game and figure out something else.
Well, I'd like to think that you're also not just trying to work on your pickup line, but find the right person.
That's true. And that's why I am the single guy on this cast. Whereas my two guests here, they're like, and you guys are all happily married. I'm the one who's still trying to figure out my warm ups to get it right there. So here you go. It's art imitating life. So have to like figure out the best way to do that. That's what other techniques do you do? I know that you definitely do a lot of research. But are there any other like things that you do that you mentioned running, of course, coming up with some ideas. Do you do any other type of things to help give you that inspiration?
I read a lot, fiction or whatever. I definitely like to read a lot. Even when there's no time, like I think that reading, when I was younger, I liked comics a lot more because I would admire the art and stuff. But now I'm much more interested in reading because I feel like I want to come up with my own images. I don't want people coming up with the images for me.
Oh, that's neat.
Oh, yeah.
Never thought of it that way.
But I feel that stimulates your mind. Like that, like drawing starts in the mind, right? Before you even spend. So if you're reading something and it's creating pictures in your mind, you've already started your brain working in that direction. So, and looking at art is a different way, I think, of inspiration. Like looking at art you kind of analyze how other people create images, right?
Right.
For movies.
Yeah.
And that's one way. I think that's also important to study how other people solve these problems. But I think it's also important to completely try and come up with your own images.
So who are your artistic inspirations growing up?
Oh,
and
mine,
even now?
I think definitely like the Mad magazines, the classic Mad magazines.
Oh, yeah.
Even from the 50s, and like from that first generation of like Jack Davis and Mort Drucker and Will Elder and Harvey Kurtzman, that combination to I said Sergio Aragonés already. I don't know if I said Sergio.
Yeah,
then,
well, we showed your Gru art, so obviously that was somebody that you looked up to as well. So
yeah, and then even like I would look at what's it called, like Marvel comics. Like I loved like the '90s Marvel comics, like like Eric Larson and Dale Keown were two of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually was at a Comic-Con once, and both Dale Keown and Eric Larson were there. Right?
So did you have like a total like fanboy paralysis? Like you saw them and it's like, I can't say anything to them because I'm so in awe. What exactly was your experience?
I actually jumped to action instead of being
yeah. So you leap across the table and like almost tackle them in terms of like?
They were on opposite ends of the table, like on, you know how they have long hallways of like long tables with full of
Yeah.
artists and
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
so I went up to Eric Larson. I'm like, can you do half? Can you do half Spider-Man on half this page, and I'm gonna ask Dale Keown to do Hulk on the other side, like they're like facing off,
Uh-huh.
like Street Fighter.
Right.
So
Uh-huh.
so then I did it like, but Eric Larson did his in like I think 20 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Right, it was very fast, and you know it's Eric Larson, so I was happy with it, and I got some stuff signed. I went to
Uh-huh.
Dale Keown, and he's like he had a bunch of stuff to do, and eventually he took it home within. I got it like 3 months later.
Oh, that must have been agonizing waiting for it, right? But
Yeah. But then it was great. Like now I don't know if this exists anywhere, but I have a page of two of my favorite 90s artists on one page, like Eric. So Spider-Man versus Hulk, one drawn by each
That's
one.
really cool.
that's
Yeah.
worth like millions in
I
comic
think
comic
so.
comic geek, like, coinage. That's just hearing about that story to go along with it is just amazing as well. But I would have liked to have seen you jump into action. That would have been just as entertaining as actually seeing the artwork. And
Yeah.
I know that you're not at your house, so like we're gonna have to do a follow-up appearance when you show up again, and you're gonna have to like show that illustration, that you came up. I mean, that you
Yeah,
you got
I
commissioned.
will. I will post it at my place, but it's framed and it's there, and I'm so happy I did that.
Yeah, it's like right up there with your wedding photos. You got your wedding photos, and then you have your Dale and Eric Larson picture. So it's really neat.
Yeah,
It's funny that you brought up Eric Larson, because when I first started watching you draw, the way you were holding your pencil,
Oh,
it
that's
reminded
right.
me of Eric Larson. Eric Larson holds his pencils similar to the way you hold it.
oh, but he's
That's
even
where.
crazier. He holds
He
it like
is.
Oh yeah. He takes it
upwards.
to the extreme.
I
Yeah.
know. It's like I think that's what everybody like takes away. When I first saw him do a live drawing, I was like, where did he learn that? Like, what is? That's just amazing to me that he holds his
Yeah.
pencil that way.
And he's left-handed, right? So his left hand, and then it's like this, and then he goes and he draws like from up to down almost, and then I don't know,
Yeah.
like it's something
I
like
remember-
that.
I remember seeing him at a San Diego Comic Con, and I was like, "Oh, it's Eric Larson, and he's drawing. Let me go see." And I got there and saw what he was drawing, and then saw the way he was holding his pencil, and just watched the way he was holding his pencil instead of what he was drawing, because it looked so uncomfortable to me. I was like, "How does he draw anything like that? That's I don't understand that. That's so uncomfortable."
That's so funny to hear that. I think maybe that's why I guess I just been doing it all wrong. I need to like hold the pencil differently, and that way
I just
capture
do
some of that
the
magic.
little kids thing. I just hold it in a fist.
Yeah,
And just mash.
Oh, yeah.
And just mash down on my iPad.
right. Like you're holding a giant crayon, just
Yeah.
hold it that way.
Oh, that's amazing. I never heard that either. I've never heard of someone holding the.
How much?
See, oh,
How much?
we got 30 seconds, guys.
30 seconds? Oh my god!
30 seconds.
30 seconds. All right. Man, I hope this even looks like people will actually be able to understand what I drew. It's such an alien.
Or if anybody's drawing along with this, remember, post it to Art Show so we could take a look at it. Let us know, so we can go over there and look at it once we're done here.
Let me make
All right, time is up. Time is up, gentlemen.
up. All right, let me make sure. I don't think is my art cam still up? Let me make sure my art cam is up. All right, let's look at like. Oh my gosh! Look at
Oh,
that.
that's so cool.
This.
That is so freaking cool.
All right, tell us about this, Danesh. What did you come up with here? I mean, I can see it, but it's just nutty good. Go ahead, tell us about it.
I honestly, there's nothing to tell. I do this a lot, actually. I sometimes it's good to like not think about drawing. I'll have someone on the phone and I'll be talking to them and drawing at the same time.
Uh-huh.
And then it's just my pencil moving.
It's like it has a mind of its own, right? Like you're
yeah.
I think I would love to see a sketchbook an art book of just your sketches, stuff that doesn't get published. Your warm-ups. I think you should definitely consider that. I think I would definitely be on board. I'd buy that like in a heartbeat, just to see like the the method behind the madness, the art madness. I mean, just seeing some of these things that they're maybe they're not concepts that will see the light of day, but they just show things. And you mentioned you had a psychology background. Have you ever looked at your artwork and go, wow, what kind of hidden trauma is behind some of my drawings? But I'm just saying, I just use that for like laughs. I'm not even saying it's trauma. It's more like, what experiences are you calling from your subconscious to to come up with these things?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just so yeah. Oh man, you definitely have to like put together a sketchbook of your concepts and your warm-ups. This looks really good.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But especially I do this a lot, especially when I'm on the phone and I'm talking to someone. I like to draw because I feel like the drawing fuels the conversation, and the conversation kind of fuels the drawing a little bit.
That's interesting. And I think it'd be funny if like the other person on the other line, they were like going, we were talking about your taxes. Why did you do this illustration? It's sort of like, it'd be just kind of funny to like correlate whatever you were talking about to like a drawing that you came up with, and to see if that indirectly influenced it. But brilliant. I love it. I'm gonna get mine ready to go, but Vic, let's go ahead and show yours.
I'll bring mine up real quick here. I did a funny one here.
Oh,
here we go.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Look at this.
Oh, so awesome. Like a float.
I love it.
I went with funny today. So it's the shapes in the middle.
Yeah.
And with the guy screaming shark, and the shark thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah. I just love the fact that the shark needs to take a float that is shaped like a shark to scare another swimmer.
Yeah, because thinks it's hilarious.
I think that's the thing. I feel like I should have like tried to go comical too, because that's that's an overarching theme here. In order to like come up with these really fun illustration pieces. But let me get my art cam up so we can show what I feel like I should have become more humorous. But let me pull that up. So this is a character that's kind of relevant to the new Doctor Strange movie that's going to be coming out. I don't know if you are familiar with.
Oh, very cool.
Shumagorath. I think that's the way you pronounce it. But yeah, right here you can see this is where the gesture or that I draw the line is. But it's like when I saw it, I was like, I thought immediately of like a star, like it's part of a star. But then I go, well, I don't want to do the obvious thing, just like we had just talked with Danesh about, So I ended up like, well, let's do alien star or supernatural looking star, and that's where I came up with this. I said I'll do Shumagorath. If you read the classic Doctor Strange, like Steve Ditko, Doctor Strange, this is a villain that was in there. But yeah, it was fun. It was nice to think about, how you can take a line and grow from it and do something. But I feel like I should have done something funny. I feel like I let you guys down. I should have done something more humorous.
No, it's great.
That's perfect, Jarrell. Joe just says it's perfect. Awesome.
Go ahead, Danesh.
Like, what I think is funny is that saying all that, don't do the first thing that comes to your mind. You guys both did really creative, kind of you rotated it and did this shark, really fun idea. And then you did this thing, which is unexpected. And I did the most obvious thing.
No, you. Oh, what you did was
we had to step it up because of you.
I know.
We're like, man, what's he gonna do? We have to step it up.
I know. You're driving us to think. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm not gonna crumple this up and put it in the circular file. I'm gonna say, hey, I'm gonna take that line and I'm gonna figure out what my 5th or 6th iteration of this line looks like, and then that way I can report back to you, Danesh, and say you are so right. The 5th or 6th version was so much better. And maybe I can report to you when I do speed dating that the 5th or 6th speed date is probably going to be much more successful than the first 5 attempts. But anyway,
let me bring up Sarah did one.
Oh, Sarah. Okay, great.
Sarah.
We got some fan art.
Oh,
Sarah. What is he? Is he saying? He's saying sup? like
Sup?
sup, like what's up? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sarah
I love the attitude
is
on
one of our Sarah is one of our favorite audience artists, resident artist that comes along here, and she has a very she's very talented. She's very inspired by like Disney and manga styles. So it's interesting to see whenever she interprets these things. So thanks so much, Sarah. It looks so cool. So cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. Awesome job, Sarah, as always.
All right. So again, if people are still working on any of their illustrations, just let us know in the comments, and we'll show it again, a little later on. But we're going to keep the show moving along. We broke up this. We're going to break up the live drawing segment a little bit and go back to showing some artwork, because I want to give people an idea of what we're going to be drawing next for the third one. So let me unshare this real quick and share something real quick. Share. And this is something that is, I wouldn't say it's like hush hush top secret, but it's more of a preview, because this particular campaign is not ready to go live just yet. It's you can subscribe to the mailing list so you can know when it happens. I mentioned that Danesh is part of a larger studio by the name of Raid, and they're putting together an anthology. And that anthology Kickstarter is not coming out until Danesh. When is it supposed to drop? Is it supposed to come out this summer, or?
I believe the art is all done. The book is made, but I believe the Kickstarter campaign starts this Monday.
Oh,
which is
soon.
Oh,
wow.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
I think tomorrow it kicks off. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So that means people won't have to wait very long. They can pick up the Timeless poster, as well as support this Kickstarter for Raid Studios. It's an anthology, and Danesh's his contribution to it is brilliant. it's so good, and I'm not going to say anything anymore. I'll let him talk about it. So, what are we looking at here? What is your short story that you're putting together?
So the premise is like so. Only catch is you have to have seen to get an idea of what this is about, because it's a parody of the Disney's Jungle Book. You have to get an idea that towards the end of the movie of the Disney's Jungle Book. Have you both seen it, by the way?
Years ago.
yes.
But
Years
yeah,
ago.
but it, mhm.
So do you remember the ending where Mowgli and Baloo and Bagheera are standing on the edge of the forest, and this girl comes out with her pod, and she's like getting water, and she drops the pod, and there's this whole like romantic moment where Mowgli runs to give her the pot, and that's also the moment where he leaves the jungle and goes to the village, and has a very like nice sort of feeling to it, that okay, he's it's a coming of age, he's growing up, he's leaving the jungle, and he's going to this beautiful girl's village, and he's going to have a nice life as a human being now, after growing up in the jungle.
In the wild.
So
Yeah.
I did a part. It's like basically what if he never had the nerve to ever leave the jungle, so he never left. So he never left to help the girl with a pot of water. He just stayed there, and then 20 years later or 30 years later, he's like this useless, overweight, middle-aged clout, still like hanging out with the same friend, refusing to leave the jungle, refusing to leave his friends, and that's what the story is about. I feel like that's a good enough, entry point into the thing, and he goes every day like a bit of a weirdo, still goes at the edge of the forest and watches the girl as she gets water, and she's like, married, has like 10 kids, and her husband is like alcoholic, and it's
All right, don't give away the whole story, because
no, that's just the first page.
Oh, this is the first.
Oh,
I feel like you just told it. It's like that. If that isn't enough to sell our audience on this idea, and this is only Danesh's contribution to a larger project. I mean, this is like one story in there. So what you just described is just comic genius. And I even used comic in two different ways. It's a comic, but it's also comedian. You're a comic. I think this is a great example of you being able to come up with a concept that's very humorous. And I think this correct me if I'm wrong. This is your first sequential where you're the author, as well as doing all the other parts of it. You know, you do the inking and the drawing and you know, but you're and the coloring, but you're doing the writing for this, right? And you're just so talented. Let's okay. You see this, right? Okay, but I was just looking at this here. Look at this Spamazon. This is just other humor here, and it's one could say this is kind of like a social commentary on the failure to launch. You know, staying in your, you know, if you're staying in your parents' house until you're like, you know, in your 50s or something like that. It's like I think you found ways to kind of like find a way to be just to make some sort of visual commentary on the whole thing on a, you know, a Disney movie that we've all have like some memory of. I just think it's cool. You know, you even have this technology thing here. You have Blue, like you spelled bite. He's like biting into it, but it's bite as in like megabytes. And I just, you know, it's like you have these animals, these wild animals, and they're all trying to figure out technology. And it's neat to see Mowgli here too. What were your thoughts? I mean, when you were coming up with this, it's like in terms of like how I'm going to draw Mowgli. I mean,
well, I'm Indian, and I have a lot of Indian uncles.
I hope your Indian uncles aren't watching this and like going, "Why did you draw me, Danesh?" It's like,
yeah. No, the one I have one Indian uncle. Obviously, I'm not going to say his name, but he told me. But
I am crying.
But I don't think he realized that it's based on him, so he didn't.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna save. Let's go ahead and get into the drawing. The subject matter is we have Mowgli, we have Blue, we have any of the characters from the Jungle Book. You know, obviously we see Danesh's interpretation of this, but we're going to learn a little bit more about this without getting any spoilers into spoiler territory, because we want you to buy the book, the Anthology book, so you can see Danesh's work. You can hear the whole. You can see the full story, but you can also get to appreciate some of the other talented artists that are over at Raid. But I think the challenge that we're going to do for this one is do your version of Mowgli, your version of Blue, and we're going to hear more of the details about how Danesh came for this look and this story. We'll hear more about it. But yeah, let's set the clock up. This is gonna be your version of it, so you don't necessarily. It's gonna be hard not to do a Danesh version of it now that we've seen this here. But let's go ahead and get the art cams up again. And Vic, you want to get ready to start the clock? You just let us know, and then we're gonna let.
All right, guys, we're starting right now.
Okay. All right. So, what we learned a little bit about this, Danesh, go ahead and just sort of expand upon it without giving any spoilers in terms of like, if you want to like hook people. Yeah. Okay. Keep on going.
I don't go too much into like what else happens in the story, because that I guess it's good to read it, because
right.
I think it's a good ending, and I'm very happy. I'm very big on surprising endings.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not one of like there's some stories that have like or like philosophical endings, but mine is much more like I like kind of surprises or humor or like the joke and the whole thing. I really want to tell you what it is.
And I want to hear it, but I don't want to spoil it. So maybe you can tell me after we go when we're done. You know, that way it'll be hush.
Yeah.
But
oh no, I want you to read it.
Okay, keep on going.
You know, at the time that I did this, that I came up with this idea, there's also this terrible, awful show that no one should watch. Especially, it's called Naked and Afraid.
Naked and Afraid.
Have you ever seen that show?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's a TV series, not a movie, right?
Oh, it's
yeah.
so bad. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen it. I just know of it.
Okay, all right.
So the basic premise of the show is that they put these two idiots in the forest, and they're not wearing any clothes. And they're naked. It's a guy and a girl,
Uh-huh.
they're never attractive,
Uh-huh.
especially after like a day in the jungle, and they have to like survive. They have to make it through the jungle completely naked, living on whatever the jungle gives them, and this and that. And so it's just repulsive, and it's in every sense of the word. It's like one of the worst shows and ideas that I've ever. Most of the time they give up, they fight,
Uh-huh.
and it's just like a lot of awkward moments and awkward blurry things, censoring things. It's just like, um, well, I think watching it at least once, maybe,
Uh-huh.
just to see. But I watched that, and just the whole.
Joe said Idiots in the Forest. I actually like the show. It's pretty cool.
I think they should have named it "Idiots in the Forest," and that would have been a better name instead of "Naked and Afraid." So,
Yeah,
but so that was
Naked.
the
Wait,
inspiration behind this.
I think it's called Naked and Afraid, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
that. So that was the inspiration, right? That was the inspiration behind like just doing this embarrassing kind of lopsided man in the jungle, and that kind of a lot of ideas are like fun mixes of unrelated things. So
Mm-hmm.
me growing up on like Jungle Book, I think that's when I was young, at least we only had video cassettes to
Oh
watch
yes.
movies,
Hmm.
and
Uh-huh.
we only had one movie in the house, which is Jungle Book, and I think we watched it every week for 10 years. So,
Okay, so I think that was fate. It's like
yeah, I
all
think
those thousands of hours of watching that movie over and over. It's been burned in your brain that you were destined to do this parody, right?
yeah, I think I was destined to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And just reading Mad magazines and I just love good parodies from Mad. Like you know, growing up, I didn't have in Dubai. We didn't have, it was quite strict, so we didn't have access to watching so many movies.
Mm-hmm.
So most often, I've read more Mad parodies of movies than I've seen the actual movies. Right?
It's so
I never
that
watched
was
Star Wars.
that was your impression of like I guess cultural things that happen, profound things that happen in pop culture, but it was through the lens of Mad magazine. That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Based.
So I never saw the real thing. I always read the Mad parody of the real thing, and it was funny because I still got the jokes and I still thought it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there's a moment. I think there's a defining moment in my life where I was reading. This is a moment where I had seen the movie was Speed, and I was
Uh-huh.
reading the Cracked. This is another kind of a Mad magazine kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. It was a rival magazine.
The
Mm-hmm.
Rival, yeah. Sometimes they had good stuff actually.
Uh-huh.
So I was reading it with my friend, and you've both seen Speed with Keanu Reeves, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yes.
So there's a moment in Speed where so there's a bomb on the bus and you can't go over a certain amount, and then he gets
Uh-huh.
everyone off the bus, and they come to an empty airport and an empty airplane, and the everyone gets off the bus, and the bus goes and crashes into the airplane, right?
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
And that's near the ending, I guess. But in the cracked version, it shows exactly the same thing happening. Like everyone gets off the bus, and they're all safe, and goes and it crashes into a plane. And our airport officer comes up to them, and he's like, "Hey man, that's great that you saved like these 20 people on the bus, but you killed 300 on that plane." And and I remember reading that, and we laughed so much. Like it's so dark, but we laughed
I
so
know.
much.
I feel bad for laughing at it, but I know what you're talking about. It's dark humor, but it's
Yeah.
funny at this. Yeah.
And I think that's the first time I really laughed at something that dark, and I laughed so much just by reading a comic. And I
Hmm.
think that was in the early 90s, maybe 91, 92. Whenever Speed, like right after Speed came out,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it was 94. And I saw my friend. My friend was like rolling on the floor laughing, right? Like we used to sit on the floor and read comics. So he was like rolling, and was like, and I was just like, yo, people like if just being able to do that to someone is such a great, it's such an amazing thing, right?
Uh huh.
Um, Making people laugh just like that. So I always that moment always kind of, I always think back to that when I think about why I draw or why I do humor things. It's
Mhm.
like the idea of
That's
someone
really cool.
finding it
That is a
funny.
yeah. That's a great story. I like that. I like that a lot. So
So
so sure you were brought up on Mad magazines and they were definitely an impact in your life. Um, so like were you like on one of your running excursions and then decided, hey, I got an opportunity. I mean, I need to come up with a parody, and was that just your first idea? It's like, hey, I had this experience from my childhood that I wanna do, or was it something that you just you
yeah.
came up with a lot of different things, and then the fifth idea was doing the jungle hook.
So I have lots of ideas that I have written down, and I'm always looking for like opportunities to use them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because it's just so busy, and I want to do things, but I can't do everything that I want sometimes.
Uh-huh.
So I also want, it's not just like I want to do my ideas, but I want to do it on the platform where the most people possible can have access to it.
Right.
Um, and I don't have that huge like a social media following, and I'm not active on social media, and I don't enjoy social media. I have a very kind of um, strange kind of relationship with social media where I uh, I don't like the idea that people are on it so much, but then I have to also contribute to that
Uh-huh.
if I want to like kind of survive as a in the business of illustration, perhaps. So
Yeah, yeah.
I totally get
Oh no,
that. Yeah.
we're the same way. We don't like it, but it's something we have to do to like get our names out there
yeah,
or be seen by anyone.
yeah. There was a time where I was like, okay, I'm gonna do something, and all my Instagram feeds were like posts were like warnings about social media and like telling people to get off the phone.
It's like you're cursing the same thing that was going to get the word out about your project. But I think it's kind of
Yeah,
an I think your approach to it though is because it's a parody. You can
yeah.
you can kind of have fun with it and you know make
Hmm.
make make light of it at the same time as criticizing it too at the same time. So I think
Hmm.
it's brilliant the way that you're thinking about it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and so like this was a you said, well, now here's my opportunity. I have a means now to like tell this story, um, or at least
Yeah.
revisit something that's from your past.
Hmm.
So like, was it already there? Was it instant, or did you have to like now that you have an opportunity, you have to think more about like what exactly what is the finer points of this humorous parody that I want to do, like.
Well, yeah. I mean, like me, the way I think of ideas is I don't think of stories normally. Recently, I started thinking about stories,
Mm-hmm.
um, but I usually think of one funny image, right? That's usually my spark. So I've done a lot of single panel cartoons. Like, so the one funny image that I had was just that I knew was funny was Mowgli overweight still in the jungle, right? That was
Uh,
that was the spark. And then
it's just so
um,
funny that hearing that. Uh,
and I was like,
so
I have
there,
to do something with this.
and then from there, did it just fall into place once you got that image, that mental image in your brain? It's like, okay, I have an image and everything just fell into place, or did you have to mull over it for like you know
It,
a year?
yeah, I had to think like, how can I make this into a story? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's a funny image, but it's not a story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to kind of really, I got, it was really, Raid is really great because I was able to talk to, people over there, like people who are good storytellers, a lot of comic book artists, and just and get help. I got a little bit of help definitely on like how to like write a story, and you know, and I had things kind of scattered here and there. Like I can't reveal the story too much, but then, um, yeah, somehow it worked out. And also like I really love stories where they, in some way or the other, end where they begin, like have some kind of a reflection on the beginning of the story.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
So you'll see that in the thing. It's a bit rude, actually. Story a little bit.
Did you say rude or crude? What was the way you?
Oh, both.
It's rude and crude. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty rude. Yeah,
Okay.
but the rudeness is the reference to the rudeness is very subtle. Um, so
Uh-huh.
I think you'll get it. I think most people, adults, will see it and understand it. But then
Uh,
kids, it will not be clear to kids. Like this, I really like doing stuff like little jokes for adults that they can get it, but also it's also kid friendly where there's nothing explicitly kid
mhm.
unfriendly about it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because
but
for all you,
there's
for
definitely,
yeah, well, I was gonna say, for all you know, you're gonna be inspiring the next generation of artists that are just like you. As a little kid, you were exposed to these Mad magazine and Crack magazine and that kind of humor, and
yeah,
that's going to maybe your artwork is going to like inspire that next generation. At least that's what I'm looking at it. It's inspiring me, and I'm the old generation. So,
yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention one of the things that really inspired me to the story. The funniest image about it was that he's wearing the same underwear that he wore when he was a kid. Like he never changed. Like you'll see in the comics, he always flying around in
uh,
his underwear.
okay. I thought you were just trying. I didn't know that, but now those
Yeah,
flies have a significance to me when I see those things.
yeah. I mean, I can't make them too nasty, right? Like it's
Yeah.
still a
Uh-huh.
comic. So, but I wanted, um, yeah. So the first image was like, and that was the first joke that he's. The first joke was that he's still in the jungle. That's the joke, but he's wearing the same underwear.
So I was just thinking about like other things that kind of are in the same vein as or the same line of comedic artwork that Mad Magazine was during the '80s for me. Were you familiar with the card, the sticker card line Garbage Pail Kids? Were you familiar with that?
Garbage Pail Kids. You know what? I
Yeah.
think I've seen it. I really like how it looks, but I never looked into it any further.
Okay, well, it's like they took the Cabbage Patch Kids, and they
Yeah.
did parodies of them too. And they would do like uh, Atom Bomb, and it'd be like ADAM, like the name Adam, and it would show like this Cabbage Patch Kid, and his head would be exploding like in a nuclear bomb looking thing. And they would just there'd be some really gross things that they would do, but it was done really humorously. Oh, is that time
That
expiring?
was the timer. Yeah.
Oh no. Okay.
Pencils down.
Pencils down. Okay. All right, we're gonna have to continue the garbage pail comparison another time. Garbage pail kids comparison. But
Yeah.
let me get. I just realized we weren't showing your art cam, so it's gonna be a
Oh,
surprise here. Let's check this out.
It'll be a surprise for all of us. Oh, that's mine.
nice.
I gotta
Oh,
show my
wrong
person.
one. Wrong one. I guess we're showing
Yeah.
Vic's first. Sorry about that. Okay, so Vic,
No worries.
look at this. I just noticed the bubbles.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. I love that. I love the look on Baloo's face.
Yeah, that is very almost like
Oh, I love
satisfied relief.
that.
Yeah.
What I love about your Mowgli is that he has no neck. I love that.
Yeah. I thought he was overweight. He just completely lost his neck. Yeah.
He's
His,
like,
his neck just melts into his body. And,
yeah.
yeah.
But that's very realistic. I like it.
I like it too. It's so funny. I think we're all getting lessons in humor, learning how to how to integrate humor into our artwork. But yeah, let's
Yeah.
get Danish. Let's get his in here. So
Oh, mine.
oh, look at this too.
Oh, that's awesome.
I could just see this. And now that you told me that that's the same garment he's been wearing for like the past 20 years. That just
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to draw. I said it, but I didn't do it.
You have to some flies.
Yeah. And the smell's gotta come somehow.
Okay, so is he holding like a smartphone? Is that what he's holding? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's got no bars.
Wi-Fi coverage.
No bars, no Wi-Fi out in the jungle. And that's
Yeah.
also what I wanted to talk about too, is your whole play on, instead of Jungle Book, it's Jungle Hooked.
Yeah.
So like you want to mention, you want to talk about how you came up with that title for your anthology?
Yeah. I don't want to give away too much. On one level, it means that he's hooked to the jungle, like he has never left the jungle, right? But then there's a technology comes into. You've seen some, actually those strips that I've shown you. I've never showed them to anyone before, like the one where Baloo is biting the computer and.
Oh, so, we premiered it here first. I feel
yeah,
like we got an exclusive.
Never shown this page, never shown the other page before. So it's it's about technology for sure. There's the and just the idea of technology and frustrations with it and dealing with it, and like I have many thoughts about technology, so I think some of them might come across. Like I have my own kind of, as you can see, my own battle with technology. Well, I love it,
but you hate it
I
at
love
the same time.
Yeah. Like this right now, that's crazy, But
I think it's so funny because I really want to read it now, because you just talked about your love-hate relationship with technology. You want, and I think that's the play or the twist or that you were talking about, is that Jungle Hooked. It's like, are we hooked on technology? Are we hooked on, I'm just curious to see what maybe there's some sort of double meaning behind hooked, in terms of revealing the story.
There will be. Yeah.
All right. So, keep on going. Can you say anything more without being spoilery?
Can I say anything more about the? Like, I think it's only 8 pages, so.
I know. Well, see, I think this is the brilliance, I think, of the anthology approach, is that I think as a and this is coming from a guy who hasn't done a sequential page book yet, but I'm just going to say that if I wanted to do one, I think doing an anthology would be a great introduction, because it doesn't give the artist this tremendous pressure to do like a 28, 32 page book or whatever. It's like it allows you to pace it in a much more condensed format. And for you, I think you could probably, I think we talked about this, you're actually thinking about doing, or you're going to be doing, was it 180 page book, I think? Is that what you said?
A graphic novel. Yeah.
So you're going from a short story, your first foray, doing like a simple, or a 5, you said 5 pages? A 5 or 8 page story, and then you're going to jump to like, hey, I can handle this. I'm going to do 180 page graphic novel right now. So.
My philosophy is always do what you can't.
Well, for me, that's everything. So I need to like be bold and ambitious like you, and you got your feet wet doing this anthology project. Here, let's say so Joe Tolliver says, every great cartoonist should have something to say. Danesh definitely has me hooked on what he is going to say in his commentary. Yeah, I can't wait to see where the story goes. And I would like to say
and the biggest joke in there, I cannot even say. It's so bad I can't even say it on camera. Trust me.
Oh, okay, all right. So there's your hook, people. Gotta get the anthology so you can find out what this joke that Danesh could not mention on the show. All right. Let me
be on the first page. On the second page. Yeah. On
the second page. Okay. All right. So Vic, do we have any people in our on show?
Let's bring it up. Sarah's showing hers.
Okay.
Here it is.
Oh, look at that.
Danesh version versus Webtoon version.
Wow. Webtoon version, very handsome.
Yeah. That's the Disney Prince version of Mowgli. Yeah.
On the webtoon version, looks like he's sparkling. He's nice and clean. Danish versions flies everywhere.
Yeah. So
You
instead of sparkles, he has flies now that are following him around. Yeah. That looks great, Sarah. That looks
awesome job, Sarah.
Thank you. Great. Yeah.
Gerald, did you show yours?
Oh, yeah. Let me share my screen real quick. All right, here we go. All right.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
So I kind of wanted to go like a little bit of the middle ground. I wanted him to look a little bit more like Tarzan and a little bit more muscular, but he still has the pot belly. And so anyway, it was. I just look at Danesh's work and it's like it's so inspirational. I see all the storytelling possibilities in coming up with these gestural, looser drawings. It's like I'm so used to like thinking of things in like heroic Marvel comic style type stuff that it's so liberating to like do this style, and it's so fun.
You know what? And you know what's crazy? It's really hard.
It is.
The cartoony style is really, really hard. I think a lot of people think, oh, it's super easy. Like there's not a lot of detail. There's not this. No, it's really hard.
It's
like for us that have been doing more like I guess what you'd call like a traditional comic look. To do something like Danesh is doing, it gave me a lot of problems because I'm not used to drawing in that style.
Yeah.
So like, my hat's off to you, man. Your style and everything is awesome, and the way you capture all your characters and everything, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I can't even think of any more words to praise your style and how it's just it's just neat to see. You talked about in your art journey all of your influences, and I see all those things because I was a big fan of Mad Magazine too when I was younger, and I do remember those the Star Wars ones. In fact, I tried to draw stormtroopers based on the Mad Magazine interpretation of the stormtrooper helmets, which were more exaggerated and stuff like that. But as a kid, I was able to grasp that better than or interpret that than looking at a photo, art book of Star Wars characters. And when I look at your artwork too, it takes me back. It's like I'm in a time machine looking at your artwork, and it's so funny because you had your timeless poster campaign.
We totally agree with Sarah. Cartoon ain't easy. They have this weird anatomy that doesn't exist anywhere, so you have to figure it out with your imagination. I totally agree.
Yeah,
it's a different monster altogether, and I had so much fun doing it today.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to do more of it. I'm gonna have to draw pictures of Jarrell like that in a cartoon style.
Hey, it's gonna be so easy to show my gut. And if you want to draw flies around me too, go have at it. But it's so much fun. Mm-hmm.
I forgot to mention a big influence for me is like old Bollywood movies.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, and Bollywood movies I've only seen a few of them, but they're fun too, and they're so colorful, and they have so much personality in them as well. So are old Bollywood movies just as vibrant as the newer ones that are out right now? Or are they just...
Yeah, the best thing about the old Bollywood movies is that it was like a hero was considered to be heroic with a big pot belly and hairy chest and a mustache. And that was, that was also my inspiration for Mowgli because that was back then considered like heroic. And it's so different now, but I was just, just watching the attitude.
Yeah, it's funny because we were talking earlier about like you lived in Spain and in, me with the coming from a Hispanic culture. That's how a lot of the Hispanic movies, the heroes are like that too. They're these older guys, big pot bellies. They're getting the young girls, and as a little kid, I'd sit there going like, "That guy's a hero." That looks like my dad and my uncle sitting right there. And they're not heroes.
But that just goes to show that the cultural ideas of what is heroic or what is a superhero, it varies. And I think that when we can draw from those different cultures and do a parody, do some sort of. It's like we're sharing these alternate points of views with people, with our audience, and I think it just makes the industry space or the creative space much more interesting because we have diversity of design and culture and stuff like that. So it's really fun, really fun. So
I'm working on my Hispanic movie hero body right now.
Yeah, I got my.
You'll see me in a Mexican movie real soon.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna have my COVID body is my superhero body. So there we go.
Yeah.
All right. And Joe Tolliver saying every body shape has potential. Sure, Hollywood. Sure. I think that was Joe's way of like doing a polite poke.
Yeah. They talk about diversity. What about having more diverse heroes? What about having a bit more hair?
Exactly.
Like, why does everyone have to shave the complete body completely clean and act and like?
I gotcha. I totally understand that. We have to have that kind of representation, hair representation, body hair representation. There we go.
I think this can be a good campaign to fight for.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to when you do Mowgli the second Jungle Hooked part 2, you can do some commentary about equal body hair representation. In that would be really funny. So, but let's get back on topic here. I think that was some of my bad dad humor, which I just want to look at. So here we go. Let's talk about this. This is the campaign that's going on right now, and I talked about how impressive that this campaign funded within 24 hours. Amazing. This is your very first Kickstarter, and you got to be just so proud to have it funded within 24 hours, right? What kind of feeling was that?
It's fun. Like it was great because it's so Sam, Sam Noir.
Mm-hmm.
We both like have our same favorite like bookstores.
Yes.
So like comic book stores, I'd say like, oh, I'll tell you when I go to this comic book store, and I met him there, and I just told him, oh, I'm finishing off this poster. It's the final installment of the poster, and Sam is like a Kickstarter like grandmaster.
Yeah, he's like a genius. Yeah.
Yeah. He's very good at like making the right connections and knowing how to promote and using the right words, and he's just like done so much. Most of this page was done with help of him writing things and helping me put it together. And then he kind of inspired me and advised me to do this with him. And so with his help, we put this page together, and it's been great just to watch. For me, I just want people to enjoy the poster more than anything, because people who bought it like years ago still tell me that they have like conversations about it, and it's a good conversation starter. Like if it's in your living room or whatever, it's just fun thing for people to have something common to talk about.
Yeah, I 100% agree with it because whether even if you're not a cartoon geek or a comic nerd or anything like that, you can still find something in here to appreciate. You weaved in history in here, and I'm gonna keep on saying it. It's like your artwork is so fun that I think anybody can just appreciate it for that aspect of it. It's so delightful.
Yeah, and it's the artwork is so fantastic. You got the nostalgia. I know when I looked at it, I was like, "There's so many characters in there I'd forgotten about." That
Exactly
throughout the years, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember this person." Like there was Heathcliff on there, and I haven't seen anything Heathcliff in who knows how long. And I was like, "Oh man, I used to watch that." I used to watch that all the time. Like getting out of school, I'd watch Heathcliff, and it was like so many characters that I just forgotten about that are in this poster. It's so cool, like seeing them all in there now.
And it's also, you may have not known the character, but I mean, you knew the character, but you didn't know the time period that they first appeared, and that's what I'm learning here too. That I had no idea that character. I mean, it's like you said, it's the name of it is so fitting, timeless. You can see when they debuted, and that just blows my mind too. You look at it and go, wow, they're that old. It's like and that shows their longevity, their relevance as pop pop culture icons.
Yeah.
But you can see here that there's so many opportunities, to get more. There's a head commission here. I'm sorry, Dinesh. What did you want to say? Did you want to like follow up on anything we just said?
I don't know. I forgot. It's okay. I'll come back.
Okay. Well, your art just speaks volumes. I just we have. I believe this bookmark. This is already unlocked, right? This would be an add-on that you can.
Yeah. Like we thought of this recently, and because I feel like people also like have special affinity towards certain decades on the poster,
Mm-hmm.
and like and then maybe someone who like loves 80s stuff or 90s stuff. So I feel like having them as bookmarks, so they're double-sided. So the 4 bookmarks cover the whole poster, like so it's front and back.
Front and back,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that this is your passive aggressive way of making people that want to get this bookmark to get them to read a book. Instead of just like watching a movie or reading a comic book, which is still good. But hey, read a book, use this great bookmark to put in there so that you can create those scenes in your mind. You can be the art director in your head in terms of like putting these great stories that you read and composing it in your mind. Yeah, great stuff. So yeah, there's all these tiers. You can get head commissions, figure commissions. So you can just own a piece of original Danish artwork here. And so here it talks about it's not going to be sent in a what do you call it, a Amazon mailer. That's just like that's going to get all banged up. It's going to be shipped in a packing tube, so be very very well protected. Go out and support this. We still got 11 more days to go. It is funded, so you don't have to worry about like backing it and wonder if it's going to get produced. It's going to get produced. Funded in 24 hours, 70 backers. I joke around with any of our guests that have successful campaigns when they're on here. It's like, knowing you, Danish, and just Asian cultures in general, maybe you do have 70 family members that are all just supporting you. Yeah. I could call on all my relatives too. It's like, hey, can you support me? But I think
they all live in the same house.
But I'm going to say that I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to say that these are 70 unique backers that are not related to you, that just believe.
Yeah. Well, there's no way to prove that. Yeah.
but I'm going to say that these are all.
Let's hope.
Yeah, they all believe in you. They all love your artwork, and they just want to own this piece of timeless pop icon history. So check this out. We're going to post this on our Facebook page and in our chat area, so you can know how to support him, because this is going to get done. And I think it'd be a great. It'll be the centerpiece of your living room, a great icebreaker for anybody that comes to visit you, because it'll definitely catch somebody's eye, and there's going to be like tons of great conversation that you're going to have around this. So, all right. Yeah. So let me get this off. And yeah, so we're going to be winding down the show, and this is where we get to the part we call the Oscar speech. And this is where we hand the mic back to you, and you just give us your final thoughts. What you think is going to be the future, in terms of like things that you're interested in, and maybe we can get the lowdown, get some exclusive stuff in terms of what's going to be new in your career. Yeah, let's turn the mic over to you and give us your Oscar speech.
My Oscar speech, but don't play the music to make me stop speaking.
Okay, no problem. I think did your camera? Is it me or did your camera freeze, Vic?
No, he's good.
Oh, he's good. Okay, good. I'm glad it's just me. Go ahead, Danish. Let's hear your Oscar speech.
My Oscar speech. Well, I'd like to thank. No.
Exactly. You can do that.
I'd like to thank all the Bollywood movies and the magazines I've read.
I'm gonna thank them too.
I'd like to thank the guy with the stinky underwear on the subway. No. This is the worst Oscar speech ever. Yeah, no, I mean, thanks for having me, guys. It's been a lot of fun, and it's great to talk about these things, and helps me also reflect on what I'm doing myself. Sometimes it's good to step back and just see what I do is viewed by others.
Uh-huh.
So thank you so much for all your like commentary and feedback. Um, I'm doing like a bunch of stuff right now. I'm working on the graphic novel. I'm working on 3 children's books. I do regular editorial illustrations, and I'm really happy that I was able to publish the with Rate 4 the Jungle Book. But I'd like to find more ways to create my own work and get it out there. And I'm still figuring it out. Like I have like a book full of ideas that are still waiting to be used somewhere or the other. So that's my that's my biggest challenge right now, is to figure out how I can get my these ideas that I have that I think are funny out into the world. And yeah, I'm just gonna try and figure that out.
Uh,
And
oh, I'm sorry. Are you?
no, that's it. That's it.
Okay, all right. Because I didn't want to cut you off because I was hanging on every word because I was trying to
Oh,
glean. I was gonna try and glean like, okay, he's gonna do an art book. He's gonna do of all those unseen sketches. He's going to do
yeah.
that 180-page graphic novel that's going to be coming out. I think that I would love to be privy to this book of projects that no one knows about except for Danesh. He's waiting for that opportunity to like share that with the world, and yeah, I'm gonna be looking
Mhm.
forward to it. It'll be so fun. And who knows? We're definitely gonna have you on the show again, but like you mentioned, maybe after another decade passes, we can have an update to this poster. It'd be
Yeah, maybe.
neat to
Maybe.
maybe, yeah, maybe. So we'll see if that happens. I think it'd be really neat to see what other research. You're a very cerebral, very studied artist. I mentioned how you're a left brain and a right brain. You're able to take that psychology background and weave these really great illustrations that are fun and educational at the same time. So that is just something that I find so unique about your artwork, and it's been just a pleasure to share that with our audience.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Thank you so much. Yeah.
oh, you're very welcome. So, this is the part of the show where I have to shed a tear and just feel really bad because we're gonna have to end the show. But like what we do with all of our shows, you want to share a little detail with our charity partner. And let me share that screen real quick. And here we go. This is Golden Fight. Golden Fight is an organization, a charity that is very near and dear to Comics Cast. They are what I like to say is a big enough and small enough charity. Small enough in the sense that they're not like international or even national. They focus on a very uh, finite area, which is the Mid-Atlantic region of the United States. And where they are big, where they are huge, is what they do. Golden Fight helps families, so they raise money for families that have children that are dealing with very difficult illnesses like cancer. And when those parents are focusing on healing their child, inevitably they will have and experience financial difficulties. And Golden Fight comes into the rescue for that. I used to think that it was like, or at least I thought it was like 98, 99% of that money would go to the families, and like maybe that really small nominal amount would have to cover overhead that any organization would have to incur when they're doing these type of charities. But no, it's 100%. 100% of the money they raise goes to the family. That's huge. The leadership, they do this on a volunteer basis. They make sure that everything they do is above board and goes straight to helping these families. So if you could, go to goldenfight.org, check out this charity, and we are not financially tied to them in any way, shape, or form. But if you are considering a worthy organization charity to donate to, Golden Fight is one to check out. So please do that. And this is where I start to actually, why is it's not minimizing? Vic, help me out.
Gotcha.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, let's go. Okay, I'm still learning which button to push to get to the screen here. Danesh, pleasure to have you. I'm
All
so
right.
happy that,
Joe
that
says,
you.
if only there was a magazine that could publish an amazing cartoonist like Danesh on a monthly basis. Ideas.
Okay, I think that's a
Thank-
little bit of a hint. We're gonna get back to you. Danesh will talk to you about some opportunities here. That
Yeah, in case you don't know, Joe Tolliver, he's the man in charge here at Comics Cast. So I think he was dropping hints to you right now.
Yeah, so we would love to partner with you with something, and we'll address that and maybe announce that on once all the details are worked out. We'll share that on our Facebook page. But for today, I am so happy that we got to know you and just share your art with the world. Vic, I can say that Vic and I can speak. I'm sure Vic believes in this just like me. We are huge fans. We love your work, and we can't wait to see what you do next. It's just been a complete pleasure. The door is open for you to return. So keep us in mind when you are ready to announce and drop any new details in your career and your creative journey.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So that being said, Vic, you want to prime our outro, and I'm just going to tell you this is the first. Danesh is the first of what we're going to call the Raid Studio Let It Out feature month. He's set the bar in terms of what we're gonna share with Let It Outs all this month. So
He set the bar high too.
Yes, it is. It's really high. But there's so much talent in Raid Studio that I can't even it's gonna be great. So I'm gonna look forward to seeing our post about our next guest for next week. But today was awesome because we got to meet Danesh and see his artwork. So I will see you guys next week. This is Comics Cast Letting Out, signing out. We love you. See you later.
See you
Bye-bye.
guys.
Thank you.